Well, hi there.
Hi.
You made it.
How you feeling? Jet setter?
I'm feeling good. It's great to have you with us. This is the season finale of Cocktails and Conversation, our third season of the show that you've been such a huge part of. Thank you for all your support for the last 3 years. Here we are at Keeneland on the eve of Breeders' Cup 2022. No finer place for it today. It's cool, it's crisp, the mist is rising, the sun is coming out.
And
it's
the
good to be back.
energy. Oh, the energy is here. Can't you feel it? We're at the breakfast marquee, and the ramping up of Breeders' Cup week is here. We are 1 day away. Future Stars Friday is tomorrow, and then Super Saturday, 14 championship races. I mean, you just landed. Just landed. What does it feel like to be back?
How's it been this week? Because it's really weird for me coming straight in the middle of the week.
Right.
Because the energy is already built, and I'm used to coming in Sunday, Monday when it's quiet, and you wait for it to get. But just the noise, the hubbub around this morning feels unlike a Breeders' Cup I can remember. Really,
it has been building, and I'm really excited to have all of our guests over. We're just going to pull people in because they're all hanging out here.
I wanted to ask you: do you think that's the flight line effect? Do you think this one talismanic horse is putting people on the gate, bringing people out in the morning? I saw the footage of.
I would say yes, but also the fact that we're back in Lexington, Kentucky, and fans can actually be here. Of course, in 2020, the Breeders' Cup was held here, but we weren't able to have any fans, only owners, trainers, and essential personnel. So I think that's part of it too. But should we just get rolling? We got a lot of people to get in.
Definitely. We've also got a lot to drink, and hell, it's...
Cheers.
I don't know what time it is.
Hi, and we didn't introduce Britney, Eurton, Nick Luck. Mark Tuberty will be with us later. He is making a signature Breeders' Cup cocktail, so we will say hello to him as well. But we got to get rolling with our show. We want to bring in Billy Koch of Little Red Feather and trainer Phil D'Amato, both Breeders' Cup winners in their own right.
Oh, they are. They are.
Gentlemen, how you doing?
California has arrived. I feel entirely surrounded, swamped, engulfed by the West. Phil, how's it going?
Oh, it's beautiful out here. Weather's great, and horses acclimating well, ready to go.
What do you think of a Breeders' Cup at Keeneland relative to the ones back home?
You know, you can get any kind of weather, but this is kind of California weather right now, so we're loving it.
I feel like the buildup, though, what he was just saying, you know, he just landed here, but there's a buildup in California that you get even before shipping out. So what was the energy like out there in preparation for the Breeders' Cup?
You were there. I was here watching Balnikov win. So
it's excitement. All my help. Everyone wants to come, experience the Breeders' Cup over here. So this is our Super Bowl. So, we're excited.
How early in the year, Phil, are you thinking about this event? I mean, are you sizing up these races January, February, March, thinking, right, how do I pick my way there?
Definitely, especially with the win you're in races. You're trying to point your best horses to win those races to get here without adding up a lot of money. So definitely a lot of strategy goes into trying to pick out which horse to, point for any of these win you're in races.
This is not an ad, by the way, for the win you're in races, even though we cover it all the time.
Yeah, but they're important.
They are important.
You made a good point.
I'm happy. I know who pays the bills. I mean, let's make no bones about it.
Absolutely.
Billy, people still talk about Singletary and Little Red Feather at the Breeders' Cup. Take us back to that day and what that moment was like.
I don't remember it at all.
Fair enough.
It's a blur. No, it was 2004, and it was just one of the greatest days of my life and all our partners. I mean, it really put the brand Little Red Feather on the map. We owe a tremendous amount of gratitude towards Singletary and Don Chatlos, and David Mia was our exercise rider. Wow. And the whole gang. And we actually were talking the other day about just look how far we've come, and as a partnership and for our clients and partners, and continuing to get better every day. That's what we say. And that's what we Phil and I talk about, get better horses. And honestly, to have him as your trainer and represented is amazing. He's unbelievable.
Part of the joy of Breeders' Cup is the way that it's moved around from state to state, from racetrack to racetrack. 2004 was in Texas at Lone Star Park.
Yeah.
I don't think either of us were there that year, were we?
I know, I've never been.
I don't think Britney was born in 2004, was she?
I didn't want to say anything. What was that like?
It was actually, were you there?
I was not there.
Mike Mitchell ran second, though, with Keela.
Yeah.
To Speightstown. It was an amazing day. I mean, you look at even the horses that were there, Ghost Sapper and Legends. Kitten's Joy didn't win that day. I was talking to Graham Motion. I think Better Talk Now. It was an amazing day because it had never been there, obviously. It's never been there again. So it's really, and they did a super job. It was, every hotel was packed. The parties were great. And obviously the racing that day. And they built these stands all the way around the racetrack. So everywhere you look, there were there was people.
That's amazing.
It was really, really cool.
Just
really
like
special.
a real energy.
It was.
And of course,
it was,
you brought the house down when Singletary.
Well, we
was
almost
there.
brought the balcony down too. So,
So I've heard.
yeah, it was pretty fun.
So this weekend you are competitors, but you are also together as well on terms of horses. So tell me a little bit about Gold Phoenix and what you expect.
You know, he's definitely the outsider looking in, but I can tell you he's a lightly raced horse. He's on the improve, and Flavian Pratt, I think, fits him to a T. He won on him at in the Del Mar Handicap with a great ride, and he reminds me of a horse that ran really well in the Breeders' Cup for another trainer in United. He's kind of like that kind of grinder, steady horse that you gotta, when to move on. And Flavian was his regular pilot, and in the Del Mar Handicap in the paddock, I told Flavian, just ride him like you used to ride United. That horse used to beat me all the time. So, and it worked
I'm
out.
aware of that one.
Yeah, and I think we just have a horse. I think he'll be peaking at the right time and with the right jockey aboard.
You mentioned the jockey, and it's just worth asking you from your perspective, and you, Billy, as well, because people here know who Flavian Pratt is. Obviously, he's been incredibly successful. The rest of the world is going to know, if all goes well with Flightline at the weekend, just who this guy is, what he's capable of, and why he's reached the top of the tree. From your perspective as a senior California-based trainer, what does he give you that other jockeys can't?
He can do it all. I really think so. And I think maybe not so much when he first came here, but he's such a quick learner. He's learned to win races not only on the turf and the dirt, but he just gets along with horses so well. He's got great hands. He's a great finisher. And most importantly, he seems to have his horses in the right position at the right time of the race. So you put all those things together and give him good horses, and you see the results.
And he just seems so focused.
He is. He comes into the paddock. It's funny, whenever we have Pratt, we're just excited because we don't have to say anything. He's really prepared. He knows your horse. And like Phil said, you always look up and you're like, oh, Pratt's in the right spot.
Mm-hmm.
He just is. Really good guy too.
And a bit like you, he's
were you going to say handsome?
No, inscrutable. You can't tell what he's thinking.
You're using big words.
He's cool under pressure.
No, that's not. Oh, that's not. Yeah, that's absolutely not me.
You're describing a different Billy guy.
Doesn't say anything outlandish.
No. GFP.
Exactly.
How are you feeling though about your three?
First of all, it's an honor to be here. And while of course we want to kick the door down, just getting here, the partners in Little Red Feather this is the goal. And Phil called it the Super Bowl. I mean, this is what we do. And they're so excited. So that's amazing for me, because you can feel they're so excited to get their purple hats and their special Gold Phoenix hats that we made.
It's the whole experience.
It's the experience, yeah. And win or lose, we're gonna have a great time. And our expectations, it's actually kind of nice. We're Comanche's 15-1 on the morning line. She's doing great. All she's done is win 3 straight here in Southern California. But it's a big challenge for her. Gold Phoenix, same thing. He's 20-1 morning line. Nagarok's 20-1 morning line. So you talked about pressure and cool-headedness. Like, there really is no pressure. We're just here. Our horses are doing great. That's the most important thing. They're all really happy, really sound, and we're just going to go out and do our best.
I love it.
So cliche.
Five runners in total here?
Oh, yeah, going to Vegas.
Yeah,
we've got 3, and you've got...
so six in total.
6 total.
All right.
6 total.
Gentlemen, good luck. Thank you so much for
Thanks
the
for
time.
having us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right.
All right, guys.
Billy Koch,
Enjoy.
Phil D'Amato, very busy weekend for both
you,
of
guys.
them. They
Cheers,
both
Billy.
experienced what it's like to win a Breeders' Cup race. We're just going to keep bringing them in. Tom Amos, I see him waiting.
Friend of the show.
Very much so. He's
Mind you,
curly Jack.
We've been going so long. It's the longest one-night stand in history of this show. You do realize that, don't you? We were only supposed to be on ever for 1 week.
Yeah. And then you
Back
kept
in
us
April
going.
2020.
Tom, come on in.
Tom Amos,
Tom was one of our earlier guests.
great to see you.
I feel like I got to give you a hug. Mwah. How are you?
Good to see you both.
How's it been this week?
It's been great. First of all, Keeneland is a terrific place to host the Breeders' Cup. The town is into it. The community, the setup is gorgeous. The events leading up to it, they're cosmopolitan and international, and it's been a lot of fun.
How much fun can you have? So you're obviously very busy every morning, but you talk about all the different events. There's a lot of people shipping in, probably that you haven't seen in some time. So how do you manage the both work and play aspect of it?
Well, it depends on who you ask as to how much fun I'm allowed to have, because if you ask my wife, I'm no fun. I leave early from a lot of the events, but it is. It's great. It's great fun. And of course, for a trainer, your mornings start early, and you got to concentrate on your horses. That's what we're all here for.
When you've got a horse like the horse you run in the juvenile, Curly
Sure.
Jack, Tom, this is clearly a talented horse.
Sure.
But there are other horses who obviously look a little bit more credentialed. You're a very experienced trainer. You just tipped over an incredible milestone in your career. When do you make that call? Okay, I'm going to give it a go.
Yes. So Curly Jack was always a talented horse, and so much so that when he made his first start at Churchill Downs in the summer, he was one of the favorites in his debut, and of course he won. He went to Saratoga, and he ran their opening weekend stake for the young horses up in New York. And at that time, we really didn't know how that track was playing. The meet had just begun, and we learned as time went on that the inside part of the racetrack was not the place to be. He suffered because of that, as did Pletcher's horse, Forte, who we were going to run against. I think he finished behind me, as a matter of fact. I was 4th or 5th that day. What you saw from Curly Jack after that race, a narrow defeat in the Ellis Park Juvenile, in which he made the lead very easily. And this is where trip handicapping comes in. If you watch that race, Curly Jack looks like the winner, and he waits on his opponent and then gets him right at the wire, a neck or nose, something like that. He did the same thing at Churchill Downs when he stretched out to 2 turns. He made the lead. He waited on horses. He was so far clear that it didn't really matter that day. For Curly Jack, no doubt, Nick, he has to step up to be competitive with this group. But there is the ability to do that. I mean, in the States, we always have the now 2-year-old horse. Midsummer, and this is a very good horse, but Midsummer, it was the horse Gulfport that Asmussen trained.
Yes.
He was the man, and he's since no longer the man. And the now horse is someone different.
It changes daily, doesn't it?
And
You
it
can see
changes
so much
because
progression.
the 2-year-olds change so much from race to race. You know, Britney, yourself, when your dad won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile in California, how that can be. So we give this horse a real chance to improve. He's going to outrun his odds.
Unfortunately, when Peter Eurton won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile in California, I don't seem to remember anyone telling us to go to the windows. Least of all, you.
Window. My dad didn't go to the window, but that is the point, that any horse can step up at any time. How much of an
It's that
advantage,
time
though,
of
does he have with the 2 turns underneath his belt against some horses with the 1 turn?
Well, he's proven he can do it, whereas some of these have not. That doesn't mean they can't. So I like that about him for sure. But I think going back to the point we were both talking about, these horses haven't developed a resume yet. They've only run a few times. There's a lot of improvement from start to start amongst a number of these horses. And, it could be him.
Can I ask how to get his name?
I knew you were going to ask that. And I was sitting there and I texted the owner, Mike McLaughlin, to ask him. And I just don't know. But Mike does have that kind of mustache. He does.
Oh, yeah. That's too funny.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll follow up on that one. Curly Jack. I love it.
You can't not love that.
Yeah.
You cannot not love that. Tom, it's been an amazing year for you for so many reasons. Just tell everybody, you just passed the
I won my 4,000th race.
4,000
That's
winner mark.
incredible.
And how many trainers in history have done that?
Oh, I don't know exactly, but it's under 20.
Not
I
a
think.
lot. We need to put in perspective. It is hard to win 1 race, let alone 4,000
Yes.
races, and you're very much so in the prime of your career.
Yeah, look,
So-
I'm very proud of it, but make no mistake, it's a group accomplishment. All the people that work for me, the owners that have supported me, the good horses I've had. So I'm uncomfortable talking about it like it's like I did it. It's very much a team effort.
But nonetheless, it's your name on the license. And part of this business is not just making sure the horses arrive in good shape. It's finding the right people to do all that as part of your team.
It's a big part of the business is being a good manager of people. And one thing I'm very proud of is when you come in our barn, you'll see the same people over and over again. I've got people who've worked for me for 30 years. So I'm very proud of that.
Loyalty says that, and it's not easy to be a manager as well. There are a lot of different aspects of training that I don't think people realize. You have the horseman aspect, but you also have the aspect of working with your team and also with the owners. There are a lot of layers.
There are definitely a lot of layers, and you wear a lot of hats. What we're doing here at the Breeders' Cup, making sure the horses get here safely and being overseen by a really great veterinarian team that's on site. We're doing that every day as trainers. And you're a nutritionalist, you're a sports psychologist, you're a coach, you're a lot of things.
Are you still getting the same buzz out of this game that you did 20 years ago?
I think that's a great question. I really do. I get as much enjoyment watching a horse that's running in a claiming race win for our stable as I do in a big race, and oftentimes more, because when you win big races, a lot of times you just have the most talented horse. But when you know you've made a difference in a horse crossing the finish line first, I don't care what level race it is, that's a great feeling of satisfaction.
You could bottle up that feeling, right?
Yeah. We'd make a lot of money.
We would make a lot of money. Tom, thank you so much for joining us. We know how busy these mornings are.
It's a pleasure. Brittany, thank you. Nick, really appreciate it.
Just before you go, Tom, we've got to ask your opinion. Shut your eyes. Imagine the last half a mile of the Breeders' Cup Classic. What do you see?
You mean after flight line? It's so far back. I don't know. I can see that far.
I mean, how far clear is he?
Yeah.
Even at that point,
he's clear. He's clear. He's a great horse. A real opportunity for Saturday afternoon for everyone to really witness something special, and I think it's going to happen. Now it's my turn to ask you a question, and I'll give you $1 if you get it right.
Go on.
An American dollar.
I like these side
because
bets.
the pound is going down
all right,
every day.
all right. Yeah,
But
it's fine. I'm getting paid in dollars.
You've been all over the place recently and very rapidly. Do you know what time it is here
I
in
have
Lexington, Kentucky?
absolutely no idea whatsoever. But it's the Bloody Mary slipping
Bloody
down
Mary
a tree.
time
So
for him. How lucky are we to have this guy, right?
Oh, yeah.
you're talking about Tom, right?
Yeah.
4,000 winners. Tom
Thank you
Amos.
very much, you guys.
Top man.
I appreciate it so
We
much.
appreciate
Thank you for
it.
having me.
Thanks so much. Thanks so
Trainer
much.
Tom Amos, he's got Curly Jack in the juvenile. We got some great races. Right?
Yeah, he makes a good point about the juvenile as well, because all these 2-year-olds are developing at different races, and
Right.
sometimes, they'll go to a race heavily favored, maybe on their second or third start, not blow out, but just run a little bit subpar, and suddenly they've gone from a horse you thinking might be a 5-2 shot in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile to a 20-1 shot, and we're overlooking them off the back of one bad run.
It makes me concerned about our Betting the Breeders' Cup show, which we're doing a little bit later. We have to do a lock of value and a bomb that's going to blow up the tote board. And
Always
I found
go
a
in the
lock
2-year-olds,
in the
yeah.
2-year-old race, and I'm like, maybe that wasn't the best idea. Maybe I have to rethink this. I don't know. That'll be a little bit later. Okay. I know we're living in the here and the now, but can we look forward a little bit?
Definitely.
And talk about Breeders' Cup next year with the CEO of First Racing, Aiden Butler. Aiden, come on in here.
This is what we do at Breeders' Cup. It's like the Olympics. So at the end of the games they hoist the flag for the next host city. Whereas the next time Paris next time, isn't it? And then it's Brisbane, I think, in 3
And then
Olympics
eventually
time.
Los Angeles.
Oh no, yeah, Paris, LA, Brisbane. Well, anyway, Breeders' Cup is
I feel
going
like we're sitting very close together.
Keeneland. Do you want me to move? It's like I had somebody here. Am I cramping your style?
No, it just looks like we're all very close. There we go.
Well, tell you what, you can have Aiden sit next to you if you want.
Thank you. Middle? No.
So Santa Anita next year, once again.
40th anniversary. It seems quite
40th
fitting.
anniversary, 11th time it's been there. It's insane.
Amazing.
We're so excited. Last time it was at 19. I think I just got the job, so that was a hell of an experience to walk straight into it. But no, we're super excited, and I love coming to Breeders' Cup regardless, especially if I'm not having to work until I get dragged into these interviews. I'm a total stand-in, by the way.
Apologies.
This was not planned.
He
But
hates
yeah,
it. He hates it. The
I really
publicity
do.
shy
really quiet.
first executive.
And I didn't get the
Aiden Butler.
proper microphone. I've got this. Like
I know he's
don't
holding
feel
it
like
down
this.
here.
Yeah,
It's as if he's never
it's a
done it.
thing.
He's also somewhat peeved because just show
I
your
knew you'd do this.
right. Show your credential
okay.
here.
I don't
So
know
I
if
got
I
a
could
credential. I was
draw me.
extremely happy with my
How many?
access.
So
work in racing.
Each dot corresponds to a different part of the track. that
Basically,
you're-
how many dots is how important you are. And
Show how many dots you have.
So I assumed that I would have the same amount of dots as Aiden Butler.
Wait, put yours up.
I mean, this is just embarrassing. I don't quite know what. I really think I must have upset the Breeders' Cup. Next year, I'm just going to go A to Z. I'm just going to have every button, even if
You've
they
got
don't
a
have an error.
special pin.
I do have a special.
Yeah, the
but
thing
still,
gets you everywhere.
no one knows that.
Brittany has so much juice that she doesn't even need a credential.
Well, yeah.
No, I got nothing.
It's
You got
just,
nothing at all.
she's just like,
It's like,
Okay.
hey.
right. Let's talk about next year.
Yeah.
And how soon do you start preparing to host the
We were
event?
already preparing. We've already had lots of meetings. Everything from safety, security, new experiences. So we're really, really well. We're pretty good at it after 11 times. We should be. If we make mistakes now, we're probably not doing our jobs properly.
There are so many reasons why Santa Anita is a great facility
Yeah.
for the Breeders' Cup. But in your opinion, having started there in 2019, why do you think it suits the Breeders' Cup so well?
Well, I think obviously as you've said, just the atmosphere, the mountains. It's kind of hard to replace those mountains. But the grandstand, luckily for us, has always been well kept. Those old big grandstands, a lot of the time fell into disrepair, but ours didn't. We looked after it and we added nice areas. So when you need that sort of event, 50, 60, 70,000 people, you can fit them in quite easily. I use Gulfstream, which is one of my other tracks, as the model. Be amazing to have one there. It's going to be a bit of a challenge with like 20,000. Be a few people in the parking lot.
Would you be up for it though?
Absolutely, you kidding?
Figure it out.
We'll work it out. Can have some people staying at my house.
There you go.
I've got a backyard. We'll
Open
put
up
a
the
few.
door.
Yeah, it'll be good.
But Santa Anita is close to Hollywood as well, so you always have that feel. It feels like the you're close enough to Hollywood, but far enough away that makes the entire thing quite special.
It is, and that's just the surrounding area, Pasadena, the hotel. I mean, they're really primed up for it. That part of the country can really handle an event like this. Not that Kentucky can't. This is an amazing event, and the fact that again that I'm not working makes it even more fun.
Now, I do want to ask you about local engagement, because obviously the big selling point here in Lexington is that you know that the city is a captive audience, and they're all going to come out to the racetrack, and people around Lexington and Versailles and the surrounding area are going to know.
Well,
that
the horse
Breeders'
people,
Cup.
they understand, they love it. Yeah.
It's a much bigger challenge for you in Arcadia, Pasadena, San Gabriel. What are you going to do between now and next year, and Breeders' Cup are going to do to actually just reach out into your immediate locality?
Well, I think localized press is something that, historically has dropped off. I mean, believe it or not, I think 10, 20 years ago, there was a radio station in the parking lot at Santa Anita broadcasting, so to the local communities. The good thing with, this is the kind of a double answer, but the general racing day to day, I think racetracks have to get better at engaging the local audience, because, the wagering is one thing and we can all wager from home, which is great. But if you don't start getting the fans back to really fall in love with it, most people you talk to have a story about they came to the track as a kid and they fell in love. If you stop that piece, we could have problems. But with regards to Breeders' Cup, you would probably think of it like the Del Mar model. Del Mar, it doesn't run that much. They have obviously the big meet in the summer and then they have another meet in the fall. But the local community embraces it because they know it's an event. And we have that same sort of thing with Santa Anita and Breeders' Cup. Regardless if these people, I think people show up just for the Breeders' Cup and they can live down the road. It's that big of an event.
You have someone that might be able to help sell it, at least when he's there over the winter.
Greg Frabel?
I think he's slightly smaller and a little bit more Italian.
Okay. Oh, Peter Rotundo.
Yes. We owe a lot to people.
So anyone who missed the news,
exactly. Please, you broke the news.
Broken on the Nick Light Daily podcast last week, coming to you every weekday.
That was a plug.
That was a plug.
Absolutely, Frankie Dettori, one of the most successful jockeys of all time. He's ridden more Group or Grade 1 races winners than anyone else in history in the world. He is going to base himself at Santa Anita beginning 26th of December.
So, such a good guy. I've been friends with him for like over 20 years when I worked at the tracks in the UK. So to have him come out to Santa Anita, he's going to dot around. He's going to fight. He's a jock, so he's going to ride at all the tracks he needs to. But being based out of Santa Anita is such a good thing for us.
How did this come about?
Well, truthfully, I was out at Ascot. Me and Nick had been talking about stuff, and like I said, I'm really good friends with Frankie. Whenever he comes over, we hang out. Whenever I'm in England, we go out. And we just started having a conversation about what it would look like in the winter. I think I pitched it as, you're getting on in age, so wouldn't it be nice to keep your bones warm? He didn't take that well, so the first go around didn't work. But we've been talking about it. And then we called up. Nick was really good because we kind of tag teamed him and his manager to make sure we could have a conversation. But no, fundamentally, he loves Santa Anita. He started, early in his career out there, and we had a chat. And he called up and said, "Hey, I think I'm going to come out." So then I immediately went, "Let's get some press out of it." He's not so fond of that part of it, but no, he's.
We tried to get him on the show.
I think the thing was Christmas dinner. I think I promised I'd cook him Christmas dinner. I think that sealed the deal.
He's come from Australia
Yorkshire pudding.
Yeah.
Because he's been riding in Sydney.
Yeah.
Because Sydney and Melbourne now go head to head on that big day, and he's come back the other way. So he's gone Sydney instead of coming around the Pacific. He's gone Sydney.
He sounded like he needed a bit of a layup last night when I called him. He just got to the hotel off the plane. He was not in the mood for my jokes.
Need a couple.
What do you think a man of his talent and personality does for the jocks room?
Well, I think A's just because of his seniority, and we've got a lot of young jocks out in Cali. I think it's always good. And Mikey Smith, Johnny V's coming out. They're like some of the classiest guys I've ever met. And I'm really fond of the jockeys, as you guys all know, but they're some of the classiest guys. And then when you talk about, getting jockeys in and growing your population. Obviously, we miss Flavian left to take over the rest of the country.
Everybody's trying to get him back.
Yeah, well, we are. Yeah, I'm sulking. I'm just trying to bring in jockeys from other places now. So no, it's really good to have that. And obviously, like I said, we've got some of the best jockeys in the world out there
With
at that time.
Dorian Velasquez and Ron Anderson managing, you've got a
mate, it's going to be amazing.
You've got a serious
Super manager. Where is Ron? We should pick his brain.
get him.
Before we find Ron, can I just what's that?
That's the Compton Cowboys.
Oh,
yeah,
of course.
Tell us about that partnership.
So, not that I'm a walking billboard, but they gave me a free jacket, so I guess.
By the way, Frankie.
Look at him. He's skulking. He's hiding. He's not into it.
Did he duck and run?
He ducked and ran. You probably know we did a deal with a group called the Compton Cowboys. Some of the coolest kids. 2-minute pitch. Compton, obviously, historically has had some trouble around there. It's been kind of a rough area in Los Angeles. There's a small group of guys who, through their generational family, have got a little piece of land right in Compton, and they take inner city kids in, especially ones who have been causing a bit of trouble or getting themselves in a bit of trouble, and teach them to look after horses. So I thought it was a perfect match. We've got a lot of horses. They've got a lot of kids who need horses. And when we started, it was a slow burn. We didn't just jump into a relationship. They came out to the track and we made sure it was a fit. But they're really fun and they really bring the fun with them. So getting them to the track. There's always a few looks when they get there.
But this is what we were talking about earlier, in a sense, isn't it? It's not just about getting people to the racetrack. It's taking the racetrack to the people.
You have to. And I think, look, historically, we were the only game in town. Everybody loved horse racing, and us. We're not the crowd. We love it. We do it regardless. But introducing it to new fans, and like the Compton Cowboys, they just threw a concert in the infield, like a really cool event that you would never have put 2 and 2 together historically. So we got to do more of that, and it's the business terms community outreach, but it's more than that. It's really taking what we love and showing other people how cool it is.
I've been to the events before. It's fantastic. Met some of the Compton Cowboys, so a really great partnership. Aiden, thanks for joining us.
You're so
really
welcome.
stoked about next year. Enjoy your time
I'm
here.
sorry,
Not working.
I filled in for poor Stephanie, so I hope she's good. But
Stephanie Huronis, part owner of Flightline, was supposed to join us.
I was a real dud in comparison, but I hope we did okay.
Well, listen, I know it doesn't come naturally to you. So,
and if Drew Fleming from the Breeders' Cup's listening by any chance, my credentials seems to be light. I don't know if you can.
Gotta work on that.
A lot of future problems.
Aiden Butler, CEO of First. Thank you.
Guys.
Breeders' Cup at Santa Anita next year, the Great Race Place, 40th anniversary. That's really special. I'm thirsty. Are you thirsty?
It's Santa Anita weather.
It's a little chillier than Santa Anita.
All right.
But
Mark, where are you, Mark?
Where are you?
Mark.
We're thirsty. What are you making?
Guys, I miss you so much. It's so nice to see you together. I don't think you can hear me, but that's okay. I'm there in spirit. And Nick, you had it right when you said that this was meant to be one show back in April 2020. And look at us now, 3 seasons in. I see you guys enjoying your Bloody Marys, but we're going to take it back to where it all began with the Tory Cup. Of course, one of the 2 official cocktails of the Breeders' Cup. This drink was inspired by the Tory horse sculpture, a replica of which is given to the winners at the Breeders' Cup each year, so very fitting. This drink was meant to, just like the horses themselves, be regal and complex, but also smooth and refreshing. When you're at the tracks, enjoying watching Flightline or all these other amazing horses, you need something that's going to be refreshing and that you can have a few of them and not feel weighed down. This drink is also meant to be replicable, right? Something that you can have at the track in thousands of quantities, right? They have to be served very quickly, but you can also have it in your own home. I'm going to keep it short and tight. We have a lot of action to get to, so let's show you how to make the Tory Cup. All right, as Nick always loves, I'm going to do my split screen here. We're going to begin with some fresh orange juice. Now, this totally works if you want to get orange juice at the store. That's completely fine. But this is a great way of elevating your cocktail. I always, sing the praises of fresh juices. So we're going to do 1.5 ounces of orange juice going into our shaker. And now lemonade as well. So you can get this at the store. This is easy. This is meant to be something that you can do very, very fast. But if you want to make your own lemonade, super easy to do. Roughly equal parts lemon juice and simple syrup, which is in and of itself equal parts sugar and water. And then you just add a little bit of water to that. So very, very easy to do. We're going to do 2 parts of our lemonade. Now notice that I'm saying parts. and not ounces. That's because these are ratios. This is meant to be scaled up if you'd like. So, they were designed for the tracks. If you have to make 500 of them, you have to work in those ratios. But again, you can do this at your house, just one at a time, or if you're entertaining some friends that are coming over to watch the race, you can feel free to scale that up into pitchers also. We're gonna add some sweet vermouth now. Now, I often refer to this as sort of the aha ingredient, or the moment where I realized that there was a great opportunity to add complexity to this drink without doing something like a homemade syrup that would be very difficult for people to replicate. So sweet vermouth, I know people only tend to associate it with Manhattans, but essentially this is a very interesting wine-based aperitif that has all sorts of botanicals. What are botanicals? Spices, herbs, anything from the earth is a botanical. So that goes into this wine and it's fortified with something like sherry or brandy. So a lot of complexity here in this one ingredient, sweet vermouth. Don't be afraid to put it into your citrus-based cocktails. It's not just for Manhattans. We're going to do 3/4 of a part. And of course, it would not be the Breeders' Cup if we didn't add some Maker's Mark bourbon. We're going to add 1.5 ounces or 1.5 parts here. Again, it's not so strong that you won't want to have another one. So, we're not going to go too heavy-handed, but 1.5 ounces going into our cocktail shaker. I know it's still very early, both here and in Lexington, but there's some orange juice in this cocktail, so I think we can make it happen. Let's add some ice. Now, we have a great tradition on this show. Typically, when I would shake the cocktail, Nick or Brittany would read off all the stats of the guests that we had on, but I mean, we have so many guests today, that's not even possible. So I'm just going to shake, I'm going to smile, and I'm going to pretend that I was sitting in that vacant seat right next to Nick and Brittany. I miss you guys. All right. Now we're going to strain this over fresh ice, and I'm going to do that in my Breeders' Cup glass right here. Now, why are we going to strain this over fresh ice? Why not just dump everything from the shaker into the glass? Well, that's because the science of ice dictates that the larger the surface area of a piece of ice, the more slowly it will melt. So if we just poured everything from the shaker into the glass, your ice is already half melted, right? We don't want that. That's going to compromise the integrity of the drink. Instead, we're going to strain over fresh, beautiful ice. I'm going to garnish with a little half wheel of orange, and why not a lemon wheel as well. This is the Tory Cup. Let me switch screens and do a proper toast to Nick, to Brittany, to the Breeders' Cup. I'm there with you guys in spirit. Cheers. Oh, it's good. Really good.
What a man. What a man, wherever he is,
Yeah,
East Coast, West Coast.
Where is he?
I don't know.
I
but
know
wish
he's
he was
here on the grounds, but reportedly in the speakeasy, which it's not a speakeasy if it's not secret, so I have no idea where it is.
Exactly.
We're not invited.
Probably best
Yeah.
at this time of the morning.
This is true. We got more guests.
We have
One that's had a remarkable year.
an extraordinary year, a truly memorable, and for him, an emotionally resonant classic win in the Belmont Stakes.
100%.
He arguably,
Childhood dream.
arguably, and perhaps unarguably, come Saturday evening, has the best filly in training.
Yeah.
And he is never one to hide his enthusiasm, passion, and joy that he gets out of the sport of horse racing. He has ordered himself a hot beverage just to soothe his larynx so he can
To get ready for
absolutely.
this.
So
right?
let's bring
Without
him
further ado.
right in. Mr. Mike Rapoli, ladies and gentlemen.
Wait, we got the body armor too.
Never.
How you doing, Nick?
Cheers, Mike.
Brittany?
How are you?
How are you? Thank you for joining us.
I'm not used to Brittany interviewing me. Usually you jump in. She kind of wants to talk to Vinny Viola on a regular basis, but
You're going
this
to
is
be
an honor to
interviewed
get-
a lot
I
this
can,
weekend.
I can sit
I have
right
it
out
already.
here.
Yeah.
I can sit this right out. And also, you've got the trainers in your racing colours as well.
Well, that was a coincidence. But
Even
I
better.
do like them though. So.
And that's for the Mets, right?
It was
Are
for
the
the
silks
Mets
for the
when they were
Mets?
winning, and now that they started losing, it started to become for Rapoli stable because I've been winning a little bit more than the Mets. So, but it's been fun. Yeah. So.
It's been disappointing, but I feel you as a Dodgers fan.
Yeah.
Bad news
Yeah,
bears.
didn't you win like 130 games this year?
Yeah, but it meant nothing.
I know I was trying to lead that to you, just so you know, but that was good the way you played in there. It was nice. So,
We were talking about your year as a whole. How would you describe it?
it's surreal. I mean, it's just honestly like, yeah, in all of my years of being in horse racing, as a kid, you knew the New York circuit more than anything. So I want to win the Winter Memorial. I want to win the Cigar Mile. I want to win the Belmont Stakes. I want to win the big New York races. But as I got older and started to travel to Santa Anita and Del Mar and Keeneland and even Saratoga, I never had a car that can go 2.5 hours to New York. I mean, there's no way we're going to that area. So it's just been, listen, it's hard to put into words. It started with the Belmont. And honestly, if that would have been the only thing that happened to me in horse racing this year, I would have been the happiest, most content person in the world. And it just, honestly, I'm so blessed. It just hasn't stopped. It went from, Nest to Forte to Chocolate Gelato to being here, today with 10 friends. Tonight, unfortunately, 45 family members.
Oh, dear.
I call them the freeloaders, but it's okay. Don't worry about it. We're going to have a lot of fun.
But how much is sharing a part of this experience? If you were just doing this on your own, without any ownership partners, without family, without pals, what would it be?
Well, I wouldn't be laughing. I wouldn't be smiling. Unlike other owners, and some of them are my partners, my 3 goals in racing are way different than their 3 goals. Number 1, I'm competitive. I want to win at the highest level. Number 2, I want to have fun. And the part that you just said, Nick, is sharing success. To me, success is best when shared. So, that I can, we flew here, my brother, my 2 best friends for since 40 years. We're flying here. We're in Lexington. We got, 2 favorites in 2 races and a second favorite. We're live in all 3 races. We're going to Jeff Ruby's every night because it's across from the street from my hotel. I think it'd be cheaper if I bought Jeff Ruby's, but that's another story. But, I said yesterday, if we win 3 races, that's great. If we win 2 races, that's great. If we win 1 race, that's great. And if we go 0 for 3, that's great.
It's about the experience.
It's, what is life about? It's about having fun. And it just, I got my parents, 78 and 82. I used to bring my grandma to the races. I got Joya, who's now 7 years old. Maria's been here for the entire ride. And it's just, it's really close. It's fun.
You're in this game pretty deep now. What was the turning point? When did the floodgates open?
I wish all owners, and it's hard. You come into the game, nobody educates you on being an owner. They want you to buy 10 horses for $10 million and spend it all in your first sale. I started with claiming horses. I had money, but I started claiming $25,000 horses, $30,000. I started to learn about trainers and jock agents and racing office, and I gave myself my own education. Nobody gives anybody an education, whether you're a fan or an owner. Forget about it. So owners, yeah, they have money, but they lose $10 million in 2 years. Why do I want to come back in?
So are you one of these people who believes, and it sounds as though you've just answered this question, but I'm going to ask it anyway, that believes that the more you know, the more enjoyment you get out of it, that knowledge essentially is power in doing what you're doing?
Nick, not only do I know it, you know it, Britney knows it, and 99% of the people in the world know it. Certain people in horse racing at high levels haven't realized that. It's a short-term view of business versus a long-term view of the brand. And nobody takes a long-term view in horse racing is Sunday's sale. That's a long-term view, end of the week. And I understand why for the trainers, because they do this 365 days a year. There's no holidays when you're a horse trainer, when Todd, and all these great trainers get to the barn. Brittany, your dad, I'm sure you went to the barn with him at 4 a.m.
All the time.
Yeah. Well, you were just getting home, but it's hard. It's hard for them to promote the sport when you're working 18-hour days, 365. But the industry as a whole, I love what you guys do. I love what NBC does. I love what some of the local people do, but nobody's really works together. This is the one sport, let's talk to the commissioner of racing. Oh, he doesn't exist. I might self-proclaim myself the commissioner of racing today. Why not?
Do you want that job?
You know what? It can't pay any less than I'm getting paid right now. I don't have a job. I'm unemployed. I sold my company. I got nothing to do. No, but it's
How do you think you sell it though? Because your passion, your love for the game is contagious, right? And I think it's probably translated to your friends, your family, right? So how do you think we bottle that up?
Well, I'll ask you this, Nick. You're from overseas, right?
I am.
What country?
So I live in London.
London. Okay, London. Brittany, you're almost in another country, California.
Yep,
Okay? Yeah. So it's two different countries. Like, it's cool to try to have this in Santa Anita and pretend we're this big sport like the Super Bowl. We're not. This is the Super Bowl. This is where the sport should be.
Kentucky.
Lexington, Saratoga, Del Mar. And we shouldn't have it in Aqueduct. We shouldn't have it at San.
Coming from a New Yorker.
We just made our first trip to.
We went to the Big A.
Yeah.
And how much did you guys like it? Did you love that?
Well, we were.
Planes overhead,
I didn't mind it. It was a little chilly for my liking.
Would you have bought like 10 friends? Did you sit on any of this?
I'm glad. I'm glad. Do you know what? I'm glad
Did
I
you-
went to see to just see what it was like.
Yeah.
And how'd you feel, Nick?
It's
Let's be transparent here. Pretend we're not on the air.
It's a very odd experience in 2022.
It's not an experience in 2002, but it was
Yeah.
the same experience I got in 1982.
Well, indeed, yeah, and it might have been, but it gives you context. That's for sure. I compare that. I've just been to Flemington for the Melbourne Cup. I come here to Keeneland, and we go to all these great venues. So
Nick,
it is
Nick,
serving a purpose for the people in New York.
Nick,
for the time being.
you're very polite. That's very nice. It's a dump. Let's just call it what it is. You would never want to go back. You and Brittany got back and said, "What the hell does this place
The
look
guy
like?"
that won some big races at that.
Yeah, and I love it.
Listen, anywhere that has inside the grandstand, a sign that in all earnestness says, "Please do not feed the pigeons." It gets my vote.
Yeah.
It gets my vote
Yeah.
every single time. And in Jockey Club headquarters right now, they are drawing up the Mike Rapoli for commissioner. Commissioner notices.
I mean, in New York racing, and you guys know how much I love New York, right? I live in Florida now for the last 3-4 years. But I'm a kid from Queens. Always will be a kid from Queens. My friends are from Queens. Like, that's what we do. I always said, if I bring a friend or a first time at the Saratoga, that person, he or she, falls in love with the sport and says, "I'm coming here every year." You bring a friend to Belmont for a big race day, like, this is great. I didn't know this was so close to home. You bring someone to Aqueduct, a friend to Aqueduct, he or she never talks to you again. They're like, "Don't you ever. When I don't like somebody, I say, let's go to Aqueduct." 50-50, they make it out alive. No, but it's just embarrassing.
It's about the experience, though, is it not? When I bring friends to the track, whether it's Santa Anita or Del Mar, it's all about get them there. Obviously, show them the gorgeous horses. Show them how to bet, because that's part of it, too. That you want to go home with a good experience.
But Brittany,
I don't know how to bet.
who made you in charge of having to teach your friends how to bet? If you're not there, who educates it? Horse racing is a board game with no instructions.
Moving it forward, I guess paying it forward.
Yep, and you should pay it forward, but who's helping you pay it forward in the sport? Nobody. Like horse ownership. Oh, we'll have this one seminar. How to bet. And the same bets that they were making in 1850, $2 to win, place, and show. I don't know if they know, but gambling's going to take off in this country.
Yeah.
And we only had a 100-year head start. I think I need to buy the horse racing industry. Seriously, it's bigger than that. And you got to get the big tracks, Santa Anita, Kentucky, Keeneland, Naira, Gulfstream. Why don't they actually meet and work together? Instead of both post times going off the same time. Naira doesn't let TVG do races, and it's a very high-level selfish sport. And I love saying that. When you spend $17 million in sales, you can say whatever you want. Just so you know.
But and you were at the Keeneland sale, yearling sale, right?
Yes.
Top buyer. But you have so much passion for helping this industry. That's
Yes.
the main takeaway from here. You love it,
Well,
and you want to help to see it succeed.
What I'm saying, I think 95% of the people are saying. And the 5% that don't want it said are the ones that want to keep it exactly the way it is. And that's the problem. So I'm never going to, Mike from Queens is always going to be Mike from Queens. I love something, I tell you I love it. If I don't love something, I'm going to tell you I hate it.
Yeah.
So, there are things that I love about this sport, and there are things that I don't love about the sport. But I'll give you one example of where I know other people that have money. I know other people that want. I've had 100 people in the last 10 years. Mike, I want to buy a horse. I said, do me a favor. I'll take you to the track. You're part of Rapoli stable. I'll pay all the bills. I'll buy all the horses. You get in the winner's circle. It's cheaper and more gratifying. And then I'm saying that is scary that I wouldn't suggest a friend to buy into a horse because it's not fair. There are things that can change where this sport can grow 10 times. you know a lot of. I'm sure there are brands you love and experiences, and I don't know what coffee place you go to or what are your brands? But if I ask you, give me 5 brands you love. Oh, I love Mercedes. There's a reason why you love those brands. Horse racing as a brand is not the best brand. Not
That's
the best brand.
Though. Rapoli brand's a good brand, though.
The Rapoli brand, I would say, if I bought stocks in the Rapoli brand before this interview, I'd now be selling them worth considerably more.
100%.
So there
and
you
maybe
go.
after this weekend.
And
Even
definitely
more?
after this weekend. And that's the thing. We're virtually out of time, Mike. And we haven't even asked about how the horses are doing, how they're training.
It's because Britney never gives me enough time. She barely wants me on these shows.
I'm not the one wrapping up.
Okay. Well, Nick, if you have to go, we understand.
I'm feeling one of those kind of slightly awkward late night scenarios at the moment where I'm just going to shuffle out of the door and leave you guys to.
Well, it looks like you want to
work
leave.
it out. No, listen. I think nobody is going to begrudge you a bucket load more success here because your passion for the game is extraordinary and the amount you've invested in it. How do you see it shaping up with these horses this weekend?
Listen, to come here and have 3 live chances in the Breeders' Cup is amazing. I mean, we'll start with Chocolate Gelato, the filly. She won a race off the pace on a muddy track. I think that experience showed a dimension.
She went over a sloppy track named Chocolate Gelato.
Yeah. So very much so. And Forte, he had a great start. Didn't perform the Sanford. Bounced back in the hopeful, and then came here, got a race over the track. He's got to beat. I just saw Mr. Baffert over there. He's got to beat Baffert and probably a couple other horses. But having a race over this track and the experience of sitting behind horses,
he dug in.
He dug in, and Nest has just turned into. I think she's coming back next year, maybe 5, maybe 6.
Talk about that decision, though. It's very sporting, considering what she's
easy.
done.
It was easy. I mean, I don't want to act like, I'm doing what's great for a filly. I mean, she's probably worth $10 to $12 million. She can only have 1 baby a year. So the economics of losing a baby versus trying to run out for $4 or $5 million and good for the sport makes it very simple. Flightline, I know the owners haven't made a decision. I'm going to make the decision for him. He will be a stallion starting in January, February, Lane's End.
No.
Let's be honest. At $150,000 and breeding him $30 million. How does an owner say?
That's conservative as well.
Yes, $30 million. So
he's worth. I'd say he was worth between 175 and $200 million as things stand now.
Well, I mean, $30 million of breeding. He's probably worth. I don't know. I'm trying to buy him, so I'd say less. He's probably worth about 5 to 10 million. I should go along with this. No, but who knows what?
Are you going to take this 2.5% share?
Well, that was the share I was trying to buy before.
You were considering it. I feel
What's-
like he hesitated a bit considering.
What's it worth? What's 2.5% of him worth? What do you think they want?
I think it's going to go between. Well, it's an auction, so it's whatever it goes for. My prediction is it goes for as little as $1.5 million.
Yeah.
Which would value him at $60 million, and as high as $2.5 million that will value.
You don't think it could get any higher than that?
After then, it's just you're buying a piece of art. That's all you're doing.
Well, then it's kind of willy waving, I suppose.
Well, for those that don't know,
I don't know what willy
share
waving is, but I'm
Flightline.
sure it is.
You do know.
2.5% of Flightline will be sold on Monday in the metaverse. So for those that don't know what we're talking about here, Nest Flightline mating eventually could be.
You know what? I will.
Could be fruitful.
I will make a guarantee here on TV. I am going to challenge Flightline to a race versus Nest for $20 million next year.
Who's putting up the $20 million?
I'll put it up. You know why? Flightline's not going to be there. So
Hang on. Well, back up. I'm just off the plane. I just need a bit of time to get my head around this.
Yeah, say it one more time.
Say that one more time,
This
Mike.
was big.
Nest versus Flightline next year, sometime in August, 1.25 miles, $20 million. All right.
Straight up match race.
Love it. Now,
Wow. What track?
10 million to the winner, 10 million to second. So I get to make if it's my race, I get to make what I want to make. Just let's be very clear. Okay. So the most it's going to cost me is 10.
Yeah.
Okay. Plus I'll sponsor the race. And if we market it together, because I'm going to hire you guys, I'll make $100 million just with the race. Think about that. And I'm going to cut you guys in for.
Just call me Mr. 1%. That's fine.
There you go. 1% of $100 million is $1 million.
2.5%.
Yeah.
In accordance with Flightline.
Right.
That's amazing.
No. But why can't the sport do that? Just curious. Oh, it can.
That's a lot of money to have.
Oh, stop.
I
Well, they're doing it in Saudi and in Dubai.
I feel like we're only scratching the surface here.
You should mic drop that.
To be continued.
Yeah. Well, let's hope Nest wins the distaff. She's a great filly. Todd is rooting for Malathot to beat Nest by a nose. That's the type of trainer he is. I mean, a lot of people think Todd is this great, nice guy. He is telling me Malathot by her nose, and that would make his year. So that's it's tough when
Mike Rapoli pulling back the curtain here.
Yeah,
that was awesome. Mike, thank you so much. You are going to be busy. I think I've already spoken to your assistant about having you multiple times on the NBC show.
I just need you at the end of the race to have me on the show.
Do I get one?
That was
Do
fun.
I get one Rapoli interview if Britney gets all the others?
She's not really getting any. Britney just started. I started winning races. She was forced to start talking.
Gives me a hard time. Well, we had a great Belmont interview, right?
Oh no, that was good.
That was
I
fun.
thought that was Kenny Rice.
No, that was Vino Rosa. That's another one.
Yeah.
No, that was you.
That was
Oh, you got the Vino Rosa.
I got the Vino
Mike,
Rosa.
thank you so much.
Thanks.
Give the family our best. Good luck this weekend.
All right. And guys,
Thanks
just
for the
keep
time.
fighting against the norm in horse racing. You guys are doing a great job. The sport is not doing a great job. All right.
Cheers, Mike. Thank you.
so much. Appreciate
Mike
it.
Rapoli,
Take care.
very, very busy man this weekend. Multiple Breeders' Cup starters. Has Nest, of course,
Taking
who
the
ran.
microphone with him.
No, he's about to trip over there.
Yeah.
All right, maybe we need to
Broken
grab
Mike
that.
Rapoli.
We've got a celeb ambassador. It's Avery Johnson. This guy travels to the tracks around
Hey, Avery, how you doing? Good
How
to see
are you?
you.
It's so good to see you.
Oh.
Come sit, hang out.
Did you enjoy that?
Oh,
Yeah. Did you hear it?
How good was it?
that's incredible. That's actually one of my investors. So Mike Rapoli is one of the investors in Avery Capital.
Too funny. So
Yeah.
how far back do you two go?
So actually Mike and I met when I was coaching the Brooklyn Nets, where it's New Jersey Nets before they moved to Brooklyn back in 2010. We ran into each other at Belmont. He invited me to his home for, post racing party during Christmas. And we met, and we've been friends since 2010. And subsequently, he introduced me to Cheryl Penny, where I'm on the board of Dynasty Financial Partners and with Team Penny Racing. So it's 50 degrees of separation.
That is wild. It's a small world, smaller than we all think.
Incredibly small. Well, Avery, how did you get involved with Breeders' Cup?
Wow, I got involved with Breeders' Cup probably about 15 years ago via Elliot Walden from Windstar Racing and Kenny Trout. They introduced me to the Breeders' Cup, and there was Breeders' Cup going on at Churchill back then, and I got introduced to it, fell in love with it, and then I was introduced to Peter Rotundo and all of the folks from Breeders' Cup that talked to me about becoming a Breeders' Cup ambassador to help promote the Breeders' Cup, help continue to promote the sport, market the sport, with Stephanie Palmieri, my girl. Love you, Stephanie. And
Stephanie.
and so it's just been a wonderful ride. And when I haven't been coaching, it's been good for me to be able to attend the Breeders' Cup and not just watch it on TV.
So before you met Elliot and Kenny Trout, did you love horse racing? Did you go to the track? What was your first introduction to it?
So my first introduction to the track was, I don't want to tell my age, but a long time ago when I was a kid growing up in New Orleans. I grew up on the Fairgrounds racetrack, Fairgrounds, Jefferson Downs, Evangeline Downs, Louisiana Downs, because that's where my dad went. And if I wanted to spend time with my dad, I went to the track. So I grew up going to the races. And when my dad passed away in 1992, I stopped going to the races. And then in 1997, my wife hands me an envelope, and it was a trip to the Kentucky Derby with my best friend, Derek Lafayette. And that was the time when Bob Baffert won
Silver
Charm. And the following, we went the next year also. So he won it back-to-back years. So we just love the racing. We love the hospitality and friends and family. So we just love it.
I'd love to know, because I've always wanted to go to the fairgrounds. It's the one sort of
You would love it. You would love New Orleans.
Significant racetrack in city in the United States I haven't been. Tell me what it was like in the. I don't want to age you, but tell me what it was like back in its heyday when you first started going.
Well, the fairgrounds has always been an immaculate track, and it means so much to the city of New Orleans. And it's been vibrant. People think when you think of New Orleans, you obviously think of the New Orleans Saints, but also it's the fairgrounds. It's all of the trainers, Jack Van Burg, Frankie Brothers, all of those guys back then that the Melançons, all those guys, all those jockeys that grew up riding in the countries of Arab, and now they come to the fairgrounds. And for me, it gave me hope, because as a smaller basketball player, I was always taller than the jockeys, right? So it gave me a lot of hope. Antelope and Louisiana Downs, the Louisiana Derby. It just means so much to not only New Orleans, but the entire state of Louisiana.
You can give us some perspective here. Being a basketball player from that world, a coach as well, how much crossover do you see between these sports and appreciation of athletes? What goes into the preparation between horse racing and other sports?
Well, there's a lot that goes in. My favorite trainer, obviously, is Todd Pletcher, and I was on the backside with Todd. And just the prep that goes into it, the organization, managing people, not just caring for these beautiful athletes, these horses, but the people that you have to manage, and the travel and the synchronization of everything has to go well just to get a horse into the starting gate. And it's the same thing, coaching players, especially when I was coaching in college. You have to care for them academically, socially, the strength and conditioning. There's so much more that you have to care for when you're coaching college players rather than pro players. So, and it's 365 days a year in college, the same way it is as being a trainer. So there's a lot of parallel there, being a trainer or a coach in sports. And now I've pivoted to private equity with Avery Capital, and I'm coaching a different team.
Yeah. All different sorts of coaching,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So does this mean, having been at the Todd Pletcher bar and friends with Elliot Walden and Windstar, that your team life is good this weekend?
Oh yeah, I'm team life is good. Life is good. I'm Nest. So chocolate gelato.
Hang on.
Yeah.
When do we get to a Breeders' Cup and say, well, hang on, how many runners for Team Avery this year?
Oh, that's coming. That's soon.
Yeah,
That's right.
it's clearly the next obvious step,
Yes,
isn't it?
it's soon. So, fortunately, I'm really good friends with Ramona Bass and
She's
Perry
lovely.
Bass. She's such a lovely lady. We had that conversation on yesterday, and we're wishing her good luck with Annapolis. And, so Team Avery is coming soon. Probably we're going to get involved with the 2-year-old sale in Ocala with my good friend Anna Saints from Phasic Tipton. So we're going to get involved there. So give me two or 3 years, you're going to hear
build
from
up
Team
his
Avery.
team.
This is just getting started.
This
isn't it?
is.
This is just getting started.
Yes.
I love it. That's awesome. Talk to me about this experience. So you have been to so many different Breeders' Cup venues, right? What
Yep.
sets, and it's kind of obvious, but what sets Keeneland apart?
Well, it's really nostalgic here. This is, the purity of horse racing. This is one of my favorite tracks. Obviously, Churchill gets a lot of attention. I love, Santa Anita gets a lot of attention. But my three outside of the fairgrounds,
Give us
because
your
that's my
favorites.
home track, Keeneland, Del Mar, and Saratoga.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would say a close fourth is probably Belmont after that. So those tracks, just the feeling of horse racing and the history. I rented a house for the first time this year in Saratoga. It was amazing. But to be here at Keeneland, I'm glad the rotation for the Breeders' Cup is to Keeneland and even Santa Anita, Del Mar. Maybe, who knows, Belmont may come online sometime soon. But the history that's here, and to be able to go to all of the forums, obviously the Windstar and the Three Chimneys and the Lanes Inn and all the
Where it all
different-
begins for these horses.
It's all begins. So I just absolutely love it.
Well, we've loved having you, Avery. Thanks so much
Love
for
the
coming
passion.
to chat with us.
Now, the one thing, I don't cheer for my horses as hard as Britney when she cheers. Do you see her
Nobody does.
when she's cheering on
Nobody
for her dad
Listen.
and the trainers?
If she's
It's
had
an out-of-body experience.
She's just whipping the horse. I'm like, I said, you can't whip him anymore.
it,
She's
He's
whipping
going
him.
to enjoy this, making fun of me.
Yes, no,
I mean,
All right.
she could have $2 on Flightline
right.
on Saturday night, and that's
Yeah.
what's going to be
Come on,
happening.
it's what it's all about.
Yes.
We talked about it, bottling up that feeling. There's nothing like it. Rooting a horse down the stretch, hopefully winning, whether you got $1 on the horse or not.
Yeah,
Easy on the crop, yeah?
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm more of a
Hands and heels. Yeah. Mhm.
yeah, not like Pete Rotundo. I think he uses the
The
program.
DRF, yeah.
actually, yeah.
and can I just say one thing before we close? I want to just say to all of the retired, active NBA, NFL players, this is a great sport. It's a great way to enjoy your family and friends, and until you've experienced it, it's unbelievable. So, what Breeders' Cup, next year back at Santa Anita. Great opportunity to
Let's get
come
'em out
out and
here.
enjoy the sport. Come on out and have a good time.
I love that.
We're very lucky to have you.
Yeah,
Breeders'
we
Cup's
are.
very lucky to have you. Thanks so much for your time, Avery.
Thanks.
And we're looking
Appreciate
forward to Team Avery next
Okay.
year.
Yes,
All right.
hey, Avery, thank you so much.
Santa
for
Anita,
joining
you'll
us.
sweep the
Enjoy
juvenile
the rest of
races.
the weekend.
Thank you.
Just mind that Mike Rapoli nearly went
He
flying a
did.
minute ago. You know,
All right.
I'm not
Go
sure
wires
our
everywhere.
insurers can't afford you. All right, what about that?
This has been so fun.
It's been
Can
great,
we keep
hasn't it?
going? Can we just
See,
do this all day?
it's
I'm
deliver-
just gonna post up.
Delivering
Wait
more
for the
than it
next
promised.
guest, or are we? Oh, we're done.
Oh,
I'm
wait,
getting
is that it? That's it. Oh,
I was.
we were
settling
we
in
were
for
just
some
getting we
more.
were just getting started. It's been great.
Can we just say how beautiful this is? Oh, just a moment.
I
That
mean-
we are. How lucky are we? We are in the
The-
home, the heart of horse
Were
country.
you going to
We
say
are
the cradle?
seeing-
Were you going to say the cradle of the thoroughbred? Because if you
No,
weren't,
but
I'll
you
say
were-
it for you.
Please say it again.
We are in the cradle of the thoroughbred.
Yes. And we are watching thoroughbreds gallop over the turf course right now. I don't know who's on the track right now.
It'll be some of the Europeans are having their first spin on the
Pogo?
turf course today. Dear old Pogo. Yeah, that's him.
Okay,
Big dark
final
horse and Breeders' Cup
thoughts. This
tomorrow.
is our season finale of Cocktails and Conversation. Yes, you can.
How close am I allowed to get? Can I just say, I've had a brilliant time in Australia at the Melbourne Cup,
Mhm.
but coming here to do this feels like I've come home. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm very happy to be here, and I cannot wait for the shows this weekend.
Oh, we were so happy to have you back. You were missed, of course. Rishi Prasad did a great job filling in
Well,
for
come
you
on,
at
the
the Breeders' Cup
professional
job.
professional.
Just letting you know. Can we give any sort of selection, or wait for the Breeders' Cup betting shows later?
Oh, wait for the Breeders' Cup
Yeah,
betting shows, which
tune
will be
into that.
appearing across all kinds of platforms.
We thank you to Mark.
They come together from every corner of the globe in pursuit of the one reward that sets the special few apart: the title of World Champion. Don't miss racing's ultimate coronation, the Breeders' Cup World Championships at Keeneland on NBC and USA.